All right, now that we got all that set up, let's look at our very first function, or not our first function, but our first function for this video. What we're going to look at is a function called index of. And I'm going to show you how this works very quickly. Basically, the index of function is a built-in function in JavaScript. It allows you to find the index position. Think of an index like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a numbered position of a string of a piece of text inside of another piece of text. So this is how it works. First, you have to create your variable, and I call it str for short for string, and I just gave it a value of hello. So the way it works is that you basically, once you created your variable, use str dot, and then you put the index of, so that's the function, and then you write inside of quotes what text you're looking for. So here we go, var string hello string dot index of e. Basically, this operator, this dot, we call it an operator. It tells JavaScript that we want to use the index of on whatever string happens to be inside of the str variable. In this case, it's hello. Hope that makes sense. So let's actually just take a look at this function in action, and hopefully that will clear things up for you. So we should use our console again. So I'm going to go console.log, and I'm going to go, you know what, I'm just going to make this simple. Just like that. There we go. So it's going to log the results of index of E. So we're looking basically for what position E is within this string of text here, right? So let's check that out. Refresh. And we see number 1 here, right? So let's go back. So some of you may be confused right now because you say, well, no, E is in actually position number 2, right? 1, 2. But actually in JavaScript and Java and in several other programming languages, they start to count at 0. So this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So remember that. JavaScript, whenever they're doing counts like this, when JavaScript is counting, it always starts at 0. So that's a new little tip that you should remember. So in the case of E, we get, of course, 1 because it's in the second position. Let's say if we want to say, where's L? See what happens with L. We see it 2, right? Now, it looks for the first occurrence of the letter L, right? Because it looks for 2, right? So how about O? Again, back, you look at the console, position 4. 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the idea. You can actually search for several different letters. So you go hello. So we're looking for LO, what position that is in. When does this start? When is it going to first see this? So let's see what the console tells us. It's at position 3, right? It starts at position 3. What happens if we say, tell us where the index of position of letter A is, rather. So we go here, -1. Now, -1 means it can't find any occurrence. It doesn't find any place in the string where A appears. That's why we get -1. So how about if we just go, now I've put in an A, so let's see what happens. Put in a couple of A's, we'll see what happens. Position 5, all of a sudden, it's in the 5th position, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there you have it. Here's our first function, the index of function. And now in its raw form, it's just like this. It's be just like this, right? The arguments here, what's in between these two brackets, we'd have, it's empty right now. And the way you use it is you have to append it to a string, as we did here. Appending it means using this dot here, and the string, it has to be a variable, right? So we can do this string here. So let me create another variable just to make a point of this. So we're gonna go name. So we have name. We go Stefan, And then we can go name.index of, and then we tell it what character, what piece of text we're looking for, what position is that text. Now we're not going to see anything until, well, we could wrap it in an alert function, right? Remember alert from our previous video. Now you notice how I can insert another function into the arguments of another function. That's how JavaScript is. So this function index of will spit back a value, in this case a number, an index position, and then alert will use that, the alert function, to display that little box with the value that index of sent back to us. I hope this makes sense to you. When a function gives you back a piece of information, nerds will refer to that as returning. Or it'll simply say return a value. So just keep that in mind. This is some nerd lingo that we'll get into, and you'll start to understand this more and more as we jump into functions. So let's take a look at our page with the alert now. See, the alert pops up. We see the value of 3. That's the index position of F in Stefan. So 0, 1, 2, 3. There we go.